Good morning. Um, there's a lot of new things today. A new thing today is that we did a little pre-call where we said figure out an agenda, so that we can start a little more prepared. But I forgot the most important thing that I wanted to ask you in the pre-call, which is that we should figure out how to start these things. But we're doing it live. Um, maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. Maybe we just start. Should I screen share or do you want to screen share? Who wants to drive
Why don't you
the
share? Because you
board?
tend to be more active in terms of how you move around on tail draw.
Maybe I moved too much. Yes. All right. Let's
No,
do
it's visual interest.
it. Sharing my whole screen.
Beautiful.
Um, all right. So here's the agenda. A lot going on. I am back in the US. I was back home in Egypt for a few weeks.
Back.
Um, thank you. Feels good. Feels good to be back. I mean, honestly, we could talk about this later, but it was very interesting being back home in this particular time frame, you know, with Israel and Palestine. Um, but we did good. There's a we got a peace deal. Not that I contributed to it. But I don't know, it felt like meaningful, I guess, that I happened to be there. And then also like the day I was leaving, like Trump was coming, which was fun. It felt like it's like, all right, I'm done here. Your turn. I don't know. I did write something about Israel Palestine in on my Substack, which felt pretty spicy, but it's been very well received. Like um, it had the reception, the reaction that I expected, that I was hoping for from both Arabs and Israelis, um, in my network, which is
That's
uh,
great. It's as good as
yeah,
you
it's
can
very
ask
positive.
for.
Right? No, and I like this is something I've been like avoiding, right? Because I'm like, I don't know, it feels I actually I don't know if you remember this. Yeah, I tweeted a while back. I was like, I finally figured out Israel. I didn't say anything else, and then everyone kind of freaked out. A lot of people were like, "Don't do it. It's dangerous." And
Don't say it.
I don't
Don't
know. I
say
think,
it.
um, but I don't know. I'm excited. I feel like I figured out actually. I've had a theory for a long time that I think I know how to navigate these waters and talk about it and do something actually, change people's minds or make, we can all learn something. Um, and I've sort of validated that with this small test. And this to me is a big sort of proof or validation or like encouragement that the not even internet argument is a big important thing worth doing, and it will um, like we can do beautiful things with this. This makes sense, right? Like how this connects to the
Anatomy.
internet argument project.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. Okay, so that's where I've been. Uh, this is this is the agenda. This is what's up this week. Um, and also, hold on. There's a meta here before I jump into this. Meta about what are we doing on this call? Because this is kind of like, oops, um, ORI uh, updates.
Yeah.
This is, and I was actually telling you, um, I want to do an ORI YouTube channel. Like for ORI, I want like a weekly call where I talk about what's happening, who's doing what, and what are we doing next. Um,
Yeah, I like that. I also like the idea of like either you or me or other people having ORI related conversations and posting them there. So it's like if you want to follow what's going on with ORI and you prefer video, that's a great way to do it.
Wait, say that again. You're saying like you're saying the videos are helpful for people. Is another way for people to keep up with what we're doing.
Yeah, well, this kind of this lines up with my personal interest or bias, which is I want more people to do more calls and record them and put them up. Ultimately, I want that to be searchable and easily indexable, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, this so okay. I think this you're an important part of that. I think that's an important uh,
I might have to
goal,
do it
and
myself.
I think you can move the needle on it.
Yeah,
But okay, so hear me out. So this what we're doing now this is not the ORI weekly call.
no, this is just a tribute.
I'm gonna write that down because I mean this is a reference to the Tenacious D song, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. I love Tenacious D.
yeah.
On that note, I told someone recently that I love Tenacious D, and he got mad because he's someone who knows real music. Um, but
Real.
and I was like, and I actually learned a lot about like he actually know he met Tenacious D, like he's in the music world.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
and like I guess Tenacious D is seen as like not a real. They're like more act like it's more parody than it is
It's musical
music. I don't know.
theater.
Something, yeah, yeah. But he was explaining that to me. He, because I think he got offended because he was talking about the musicians that he's working with, and I was like,
Mm.
"Oh, it's like Tenacious D," and he's like, "No, it's not like Tenacious D. Those
How
are
dare you
totally
say
different."
that?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the point is, this is not the weekly call. This is like a weekly call. What do you call it? Podcast or
They call between
is this?
friends.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we had a name. Something it was something about like, is this a podcast or not?
I have the domain. I'll set it up at some point, but I think it's
But
podcastercall.com.
I actually there's something beautiful and meta here about how you can think I think of this you can think of this call as an incubator
Yeah.
for genres. So like we've been doing these weekly calls for a while, and then I was like, oh, it's actually really useful to have an update about ORI and what's happening there. So what if we and then you sort of spin off and it's like, okay, now I know what the structure should look like. Now I'm gonna use that structure and then do that
Right.
weekly. Okay, but now it's a separate thing. But then in the incubator call, you can still talk about whatever. Um, and then we think like, okay, so it can incubate. I'm just gonna move this guy. It can incubate or I call, but also can incubate like mimetics call because we don't have yet a I was thinking about a monthly open mimetics update.
Not yet.
Uh, right, and so that this could also be, I might do this with the cat.
Yeah.
Um, so. And then, whoever else wants to join. I think this should be more of an open, like a Twitter space sort of thing. Okay, so this is good. So this is the good meta framing. So this is what we're doing here. So it happens to be a very ORI focused today because that's what's on my mind, and we don't have this yet. Um, but we
Totally
will.
valid.
All right. So let's jump into here because there's a lot of really exciting things going on. So we have a Twitter space today, 4 p.m. Eastern
Nice.
Standard Time.
I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, so this is good. This is why you're here, so I can explain to you that.
I gotta get with it.
Yeah, because I mean I'm really immersed in these things, and I don't yet know like honestly one of the funny things in ORI is that not everyone in ORI knows what's happening in ORI, um,
Yeah.
which
It's
is
getting
honestly
busy.
like and but this is the thing that like people never I never hear people talk about like
Yeah.
internal communications, like who's doing internal marketing, marketing to people inside of the org. That should be a thing.
Oh,
And
it's funny. I feel like I can't remember exactly what you said about it, but you used to be the kind of person who inside your org, like at work, you would talk to other people about
yeah, yeah.
like what's going on, and now you've created an organization where that's necessary as well.
Yeah, I love the thread. These things that used to be on the periphery for what I was a software engineer, and the communication between the org was like
Yeah.
a thing I was doing on the side, but it was the most valuable thing, and so now I can now I can flip it in my own org.
Hmm.
Um, okay. Um, Twitter Space. We'll be talking to Sam Senchel about the God conjecture, which is a paper he's writing. So wait, are you familiar at all with Sam's work?
No, he follows me, and now I just followed him. I don't think we've really crossed paths that much.
He's got a great story that we really should write up in the on the ORI website, where and I think part of why I haven't wrote it down is because it's somewhat high profile, and so I wanted to make sure I get it right. So I'm just gonna tell you my understanding and caveat. I may butcher some of the details, but basically his background is in I guess finance. He has a company just doing industry things, and also knows a lot about religion, Judaism, Kabbalah, specific things in Jewish mysticism, and he's following Wolfram Institute, Stephen Wolfram's research and his work with this thing called the Ruliad. Um, Wolfram's been doing all this like new science, new framework for physics, etc. But anyway, the exciting thing from my perspective from the ORI story is he emails Wolfram and he's like, "Hey, I see what you're doing. I think there's a missing piece here that I can contribute." And from Sam's side, it's something that he got from religion, from the science of religion, how the the systems work in Jewish mysticism. And I don't know if he leads with that or not, but he just goes to Wolfram and is like, hey, I think I have a piece that may be useful to you, and Wolfram sees it and he's like, this is actually amazing work. Can you come develop this with me? And then he goes to Boston, works with Wolfram, the Wolfram Institute, publishes a paper called Observer Theory,
Amazing.
um, which and the gist is kind of that reality. It's the idea that reality is made out of information, not matter. Like the building blocks aren't atoms; they're information. And yeah, and then what that means. Stuff about free
Think
will and decisions and consciousness, perception, etc. Okay. Um, go. You're gonna ask something.
I was just gonna say it's an interesting assertion. It's like, is matter even matter? Right? It's like we're inferring the existence of matter from various tests and things, but it's the shape of our instruments and detectors just as much as it's the shape of some physically existing thing. So it's like maybe at some point it just past a certain point or scale, it's really just information.
Yeah, and this is actually a little hard for me to talk about because it's been like 6 months ago this was blowing my mind, and now like everyone I talked to, I think within ORI, I think this has sort of become the dominant paradigm. So it's kind of the water I'm swimming in now. So I'm like, well, of course, the building blocks of reality are information, because I'm thinking like, okay, given that, what else is true? And so it's like I built the whole world model on top of this now. Um, but so that's why I was a little it's a little to go back, walk back, and sort of explain how did we get here. But this second piece he's working on is called the God conjecture, and it's this sounds pretty wacky, right? Like it's solving I meant this to sound a little wacky, but that's also true. Of like, hey, we're finally gonna reconcile science and religion. And there's something kind of like uh, personally meaningful for me here, because this was like one of the very first um projects that I got obsessed with. In fact, I have one of the first GitHub repo I made with just my notes, and you can actually see the very first issue, 2024,
Theory of
is
everything.
me, and this is Emmett Shear saying that, and I was like, holy shit, never thought of it. And like, well, I mean, I've always, intuitively had this belief, and then, but this felt like the good problem statement is like, here's actually what we're trying to solve.
Aside related to phenomenology and empiricism. Um, like when you look at something or when you feel something, I think some of the guys that we follow would say more words that support this, but like reading something, you have a sort of physical somatic reaction in your body, right? And you can sort of imagine reading something that's really provocative, and it then creates an emotional response. But even when you're looking at information, you can feel um, sort of different patterns of like muscular contraction and sort of biofeedback, and it's really subtle. And I think that's what's really interesting is like when you're reading an instrument, right? Like you're taking a measurement and you're like, oh, this is just information. This is a fact about reality. What it's actually doing is creating an experiential sort of phenomenon or somatic experience. And so, like, even classical science still has a basis in uh, our bodies. I'm trying to connect it back to like computers and stuff. It's um, like you know how like analog signals or digital signals they'll be sent over the wire and it's just like oh it's just ones and zeros but it's literally voltages, right? And those voltages have to be amplified in order to be read sometimes or whatever. So it's like same thing is true. It's like in here and in our heads it's phenomenology. When we read an instrument it's like a voltage, being sent visually through the wire, and we literally have to like amplify and turn that into this whole verbose internal representation. And so we're like, oh no, we're looking at the information. It's like, no, you're extrapolating a lot based on limited readings, and you're sort of filling in the gaps.
So I think, and so this is really great. I think this makes me almost want to write down the axioms
Like,
that I
what does it
believe
feel like to do science?
um
Where's the feeling of
physics
science in your body?
sensation. Um like like what I'm sort of hearing you say, I connect
You-
to an axiom. Uh, Does this make sense? The that and I say this to say it's sort of related to this thing on top too, that like you can feed the same bits of information. I'm thinking about what you said about like the voltages, the bits of information being carried through in a wire and being read through an instrument by the scientist or whatever, um, and what reaction that you know what what that triggers afterwards. Um, there's It's dependent on the observer.
the observer is like in this specific case, right? It's a scientist. That scientist has an info environment in them, like a live world model that's playing out. And so when you take that information, you put the information in the scientist, it sort of evolves, it co-evolves with whatever's in there.
Yeah, like there's, and this is a bit of a side uh, side exploration here, but I guess I'm trying to describe the sort of why I believe this in a more precise way, because it's not like when you tell people like I write this as opposed to, the view that, consciousness just arises out of physics. Like, oh, like the physics layer is all that's real, and the stuff
Well, I've been interacting with Dr. Ogas. How do you
you
pronounce
have.
his name? Yeah, just on his. I commented on one of his things, and we've gone back and back and forth, and I really like his ideas. I more appreciate just how willing he is to like completely stay in the weeds with me. Um, but the underlying idea, and I think he and I differ on this. I'm still stuck on a frame of panpsychism that says essentially, see, what does it feel like to be a basketball game? It's like it literally does feel like something to be a basketball game, and only as humans do we think that we have a preferred experience, that
Sorry, this is
there is some limit to when something is
this
conscious
is
and not.
this is great. Okay, wait, hold on. How did this come up, Rove Carlo?
I think I brought him up. Yeah.
But do you remember how you
Yeah, right there. Time doesn't exist, but
encountered?
is an artifact of our
But
perception.
but how did you encounter
I read the
him?
book, which
You
I
read the
highly
book.
recommend if you haven't read it. It's a
Okay,
beautiful
that's
work, and it's a great
wait,
example of like how to write a science book for
wait,
non-science
wait, wait.
people.
What book? What book?
The Order of Time.
Um, okay, that's crazy, man. Because should I just buy it
Yeah,
live?
yeah.
All right.
One click. I highly recommend it. I because it talks about enough of the science for you to understand conceptually what's going on, but it grounds it in the human experience in a way that I think you'll really love. He talks about
Okay,
a
the reason
friend of his in there and the effect on our psyche and stuff. It's
I
really
got
inspiring stuff.
I got excited because I mentioned Carlo Rovelli
Yeah.
to Ogi
Yeah.
before.
He's like, why are all these guys just bringing him up?
It's actually funny. It's almost like a psyopic. So we weren't coordinated. We didn't actually
That's what
know.
I'm saying. It's like most conspiracies don't require coordination.
But the reason I'm obsessed with this guy is this. Ogi has this belief that time, this assertion that time doesn't exist in physical matter, and in reality it exists. It
Right.
comes as an emergent property. And I was
We
trying to figure
bring
out
it.
like what.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to find anyone who could explain that. Like surely if it's true and someone else somewhere in the world
Ravelli
has
does.
figured it out. Yeah, well, so I
Yeah.
this and he's the best when I found it. It's just this paper from 2015, and I feel like it does a
Yeah.
really good like it explained it to me pretty clearly, and this is the figure. Take this. Let me
Fascinating.
explain it
Same
to you.
history, different filters.
So
Yeah.
so um I think he's telling you this thing about like, does entropy increase over time or not? Does order increase or decrease? And I think he's
So these
saying
are sort of
it's
interleaved visuals, right? Like interleaved
well, like,
perspectives.
right, yeah, yeah, exact. So they could be. So the idea is he's like, look at a series of particles, and then like let's just pick a group,
Yeah.
these yellow ones, and just watch them over time, and we'll see that they move. Okay, they move in this certain. So it starts out. Actually, I don't know why the arrows move this way, but let's say we start. Say we start here. So it's ordered, and then in the next, and then becomes not ordered. Okay, that makes sense. But if you had the same exact system, if you'd picked different set of, um, yeah. So I think this is why it looks this way. if you had picked.
Yeah.
See if we could animate this or make a version that's
Oh yeah, totally.
it would be much easier to understand because I think what he's doing is he's saying like, okay, actually let me pick, another set. I'm gonna mark,
Yeah, imagine. In fact,
the
it would be. Holy shit! Let me copy this and see if I can ask Claude to do it because you should be able to create a version of that with a slider. Oops.
yeah, I think that would be really powerful. And so the point is that the whether or not order is increasing or decreasing depends. I actually this I can say it in one sentence, one concise sentence. Whether or not order entropy increases or decreases depends on how you encode order into the system, which necessarily depends on a reader, which is the core thing in Sam's thing, the observer.
Let's see what Sonic comes up with. But it reminds me of Tenet. Have you seen the Christopher Nolan movie? If you haven't seen it,
Yeah.
you have to watch it. I've seen it like 3 times.
Wait, what's it called?
Strangely, it might be my favorite Nolan movie. Tenet, Tenet.
Wait,
It's an ambiogram.
why?
They even made their own.
Traveling backward through time.
They made their own hand signal, like interleaving fingers like this.
Okay,
The idea is like one of the. Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything at all, and you shouldn't
okay,
because
okay. I'll watch it.
you should have to watch it 5 times to understand it and appreciate it. But it's a
Um,
really great exploration of the directionality of time.
okay, because okay, let's
I
zoom
would
out for a
say
second at
that
least.
like
Oh,
Nolan is a scientist who is exploring science through art.
no,
Like,
okay, okay, hold on. Okay, you're skipping too far ahead. This is
sorry,
there's a lot of
I got
things that
lost in my head, and I
there's a lot of things that I believe are true, but that have not yet. We don't yet have the prereqs propagated throughout society to be able to build on them, and that's part of what ORI exists for. One of them is art as pursuit of truth. And look, you said this like kind of like as a wild claim. You're like, I feel like this director is actually doing science, but he's doing it using the vehicle of um, art. And for most people, this is like a poetic claim. It's a small number of people actually believe this to be literally true, and an even smaller number are like, okay, if it's true, what should we do about it? And it's like, okay, there should be research institutes that are like making art. Um, okay, so that's like one crazy claim, and like like if it's really true, then I should be able to propagate it. Like the whole point of ORI is like if it's true, like if this really is true, then we should be able to act on it and also propagate it. Um, it's emergent. So I mean, then previous stuff is just like science, science purpose. Actually, this is pretty helpful. Is
so you do science so you can do art better, and you do art to sort of explain and depict science. He's sort of
I mean,
canvassing the ground for more science.
I would say I think the broader like art and science are like specific instances of the broader again the intuitive and the rational and I guess the yin yang or whatever.
Yeah,
Um
there's another
but
great
the
image for it. So science is the ladder, and art is the chute.
Wait, well, because this is actually interesting. I think because like it should be that you know you can see where you're going with science, but not necessarily with um.
Yeah. I like the way that science has to be slow and methodical, but when you're really leaning into art, you're just sort of it takes you wherever it takes you, both when you're making it and when you're consuming it, which technically are just two sides of the same thing anyway.
Yeah, which I mean that this is why I think the what we were talking about last time with like intuitive versus rational, like it's like you both they're both exploring a space. We were talking about bounded versus unbounded.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think this is why you need both. But if you only have one, I think you need both. But if you only have one, you need the intuitive one. You need the art. I think that precedes the. Uh, I added a note to my. This is questions or something I might ask Sam during the call during
Yeah,
Twitter Space. Because these are all themes that come up. I added religion as proto-science. Um, because that's an argument he makes in his paper.
interesting.
No, I thought of it now because that's what I was telling you now. Like if you need both art and science, but if you only have one,
He's totally
you
right.
need
Yeah,
art. It's gonna be art. It's gonna be intuition, and
right.
intuition can generate the other thing, but the other thing can't because one of them is bounded and the other one is unbounded. Wait, what are you doing over here?
I'm just trying to redraw the thing from a few times ago.
Yeah, because intuition is what frames. Yeah, it's. I mean, I think of it as like the rationality works when there is a bound. Like I'll pull out my rational tools when the problem is bounded. I'll pull out my intuitive tools when the problem is unbounded.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense, and it explains why I've struggled with this so much.
And actually, I keep there, and there's something to me that the edge of my knowledge here is that there's something mutually exclusive about these two modes, and I think that's like very deep in the structure of
Yeah, well, they're
uh
definitely the antitheses of each other, right? It's like rationality wants to take a directed step that fits in with everything that came before, and intuition wants to sort of dissolve and kind of move full gestalt at once.
yeah, and like because I feel like I think it's important for me to sort of find out if it's true because there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of conflict and tension that can be solved if we just figure out why it's happening and like either avoid it or like only use it, I only have it happen when necessary. But this one feels like if this is accurate, um it's like the conflict is because of the nature of these things and it can't be any other way. Um and they sort of have to they you know they the conflict between them is generative. Like you can never fully integrate. And actually, while we're here, let's talk real quick about the juicing the gap.
I hope you
Uh,
can fully integrate them. I think there's a particular flow state I want to believe where you're just
well,
like
that's see that,
you're making rational choices, but you're doing it in an intuition guided way, and people are like, "What the hell are you doing?" You're like, "It's perfectly rational. You just don't see my basis."
right. No, well, so but that's what I mean because I feel like I'm for a long time I was like I think it can be integrated. And but now I'm starting to have this alternative theories like maybe there's a reason it can't. Okay, do you know how when you're doing math? sometimes like you're trying to prove something, and then if you're struggling, you can switch to like, can you prove why it's not possible? You know, a
Yeah.
trick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's because then you know if you can't prove this, you can prove the other one. It can give you insight into the other. Um, I want to give you this metaphor because it was very helpful. Juicing the gap. How do I put this here? Okay, this is pretty important. So this starts with Michael Garfield, good friend, big. We're a big fan of him. He's a big fan of us. Um,
Yeah.
oh, so I'm talking about. Oh, so it starts with the tension mech. Okay, this is fun. This is the Twitter portion, the Twitter commentary portion of this episode.
Yeah. Twitter
Are you still
commentary. Oh
there?
yeah. We'll go now. I love it. I love it so much. Now we're gonna go into our Twitter
Yeah,
commentary. Put on your special Twitter commentary hat.
but yeah, we
Mm.
should have one. All right. Starts with the tension mech, saying there's a space between experience and naming it, and the larger it is, the better for truth. Okay. Now this is already hinting at a problem here, because
Yeah.
the whole point of the rational thing is like it can capture, it can name things, it can hold things. Okay. So if you're telling me if the space between experience and naming is large, it's better for truth. That means my attempt, then the whole project of rationality fails. Like, no, like you're going the wrong direction. Like if you're naming things and measuring things and doing stuff, you're like eroding truth. That can't be right. So this seems like something wrong here.
Um, there, you do erode old truths to replace them with new truths, right? Like old paradigms, like the heliocentric model
Well, I mean,
coming out.
yeah, I mean, I'll tell you how I resolve that. But I'm telling you, like, this is what, if I'm being honest, a year ago, I would have read this and be like, this doesn't make any sense because it's the opposite of truth. The whole point of gaining truth is that I name things. So but you're telling me it seems like a paradox. Okay. So, the way we've resolved it here is, yeah, actually, Evel, which I appreciate him because he voiced that side that I was sort of role playing. He's like this can't be right. He's like if you sort of identify with the gap being the lack of understanding, the lack of having words for a thing. He's like that seems like a failure mode. Um, and I'm like, yeah, I see what you're saying, but there's something a little different here. Yeah, and he's basically okay. So here's my description. Um, so I think of it as pistons closing. When the pistons close, that's the naming. It's the rational. You close the gap between experience and names. You juice the gap, and when you juice the gap, you get useful artifacts out of it. The science, the predictions, the systems, the understanding. Okay, so that's good. So you're closing the gap is actually very fruitful. It's very lucrative. It's good. You get good stuff out of it. However, um, when you're done, when you clamp the piston all the way down, there's nothing else, so you sort of have to release. And then when you release, now I guess if you clamp down in exactly the same direction, you won't get anything else because you've already sort of extracted everything from there. Honestly, the metaphor is like farming, like sowing seeds and then plucking them. The rational naming thing is plucking seeds. The intuitive mystic experience embodied, you know, reality, whatever, is planting, and you can see the tension between them if the thing just keeps grabbing things as soon as it can, it won't leave space for things to grow.
Right.
And you can see why there's an asymmetric relationship between them. Like the thing that can grow doesn't it benefits from having something that prunes, but like you the like which one sort of has to come first? Like the thing that can prune can't prune anything if nothing is growing, but the thing that can grow stuff if nothing is pruning.
Yes. Yeah. 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 No, I see it. I mean,
There's a generative source, yeah.
this follows. I'm so I have to acknowledge I'm a little distracted because Claude managed to make this work,
Oh, did it work?
and it's blowing my mind right now.
Do you
It's trying
wanna?
to upload it. Yeah, let's see. Does this work? Yes. Oh my God, it works
Holy
in
shit!
TL
Wait, hold on. Wait, really? It's
Yes.
just in there? Wait, that's
Here,
crazy. Wait,
I'll
why does
share.
that work? Hold on. What is this a GIF? No,
I love how
it's
you're
I don't
freaking out. I
understand.
love this. I love this so much. Here's the link.
Okay, I will.
Put
Because
it
I
here.
got excited because I thought because I know TL Bros trying to do this. They're trying to do like embeddable,
Oh
like
God, yeah.
actual apps.
Imagine being able to embed the artifact. Holy
Because I think
shit.
I like. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's
Can we just hold on? Sorry. Can we just take a moment to say that
yeah.
this is possible? We have the technology. You could put a
Uh,
fucking
uh,
iframe
yeah,
in a web page.
a
We
thousand
we
percent.
can do this. The only
Yeah.
reason it doesn't happen is because of it's a
Because you and me
logistical
are
thing,
sitting
not a
here on our asses
yeah.
chatting
We
instead
can
of
make this happen.
building.
But also, or I will have like we'll have a team that does prototypes. So
Yeah.
that's why you're here. In addition to all the other things you're doing. Okay, what's going on here? This is this really? Hold on. Let me just take this in. So on the left, I'm going only looking at the yellow for now. Entropy is very low because it makes sense. They're all ordered.
Yeah.
And as you move, okay, disorder increases a little bit.
Isn't that
So and so they are both the same. Yeah, it's the same system with the different colors. Um, I think the only I think the missing thing, and I that's why I kind of want to curious what Carlo, he would do it. But is it because when I was interpreting this, I thought it's not that the sets are mutually exclusive. There's overlap. Like you you can consider in the red filter view, like some of the stuff that's yellow on the left can be red on the right
that's a good point.
because but actually that's the important stuff because I think like the whole point is like it's the observer encoding. Okay, okay, you know what it's like? It's closer to
There is one, so I reran it. I'm not sure if publish and copy link.
wait,
Here's
I can show you the you know the thing where like if you take a image
yeah. Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
put it in, you read it as text. So that's the same thing where you have sorry, got my Roomba's moving. Maybe I'll let it move. Um, it's the same bits. The bits don't actually have their own meaning by themselves. They have meaning given a specific observer reading them, and
Right.
that is when entropy increases or decreases. Otherwise, the bits are just the information is just kind of changing the honestly, I mean, the big theme I've been thinking about with all this is like it's really hard to think about this stuff in just words, and I think that's why we need like for me, I like having computational playgrounds to play with. Other people, math is what allows
Yeah.
them to explore this without
I
losing.
think
Because what we're doing is, ex yeah.
visual and embodied intuition is my jam. So it's like being able to see it and play with it. It doesn't replace the math, but it
Well,
does get you to a place
but
that's a lot more intuitive.
but the real story is that let's see, how do I find this you people who are good at the math do basically have an environment in their head. Let's see how I show you this. Okay, okay, this is a little closer. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. Okay, when I used to hate math because I look at something like this. I'm like, what the heck is this? It's just
It's a summation of some kind.
right, but I can't see anything in here. And what I would do is I would take this and then write it in code. If you give me math and code, I can read that
E to
because
the
I can
I
see.
pi is like uh, a circle.
Well, are you trying to interpret it? Stop it!
No, no,
Stop understanding it.
there. Forget what I think it's Euler's equation or something. It's like e to the I pi is one of the most important.
Right.
I don't know if that's the exact one.
Also, but here I think the thing is like when a mathematician looks at this, they're not seeing a static system. They unfold it in their head. They see
Could
different parts.
could be. I think different mathematicians work in different ways, but I think a lot of it is like intuitive pattern matching, where it's like, oh, I know what e to the negative I 2 pi does when you sum it.
Well, but that's what I mean. Like you have to have some way, however way you do it, but you have to have some way that you like this thing encodes information and
Yeah,
uh
this is a
if it's useful
pixel.
to
This
the
is like you just showed
right,
the image of the cat. Like this is the source code of the
right.
cat.
So the thing is some people like think they're bad at math, but they're just bad at reading the thing and because
Right.
the language, the UI is bad. And actually, do you know Brad Victor?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite humans.
Hell yeah. Me too.
The
Uh
the
Very
um the
formative.
Dropbox talk, the future of the internet. What was it called, Brett? This is
He has
one of the most important. So in future programming is
yeah.
still even today
I
is
know.
one of the most important talks
See, we should curate
for
a library
anybody that
for
thinks they're a Steve Jobsian. It's like, oh, I'm an idea guy. Are you? Name five ideas. I guarantee
um
they were all thought of in the 60s.
the the point I wanted to demonstrate here is that like this is an interface. So you look at this and if someone gains a lot of information from it, they might see it like this. It's not that they have synesthesia, but they can read all the different pieces of it. Um
I
and
immediately
and
think of his I forget his JavaScript library that you could drag things around
yeah.
and see the adjustments in real time. It's like we already have graphs that can sort of graph maybe not summations, but a lot of equations. And we have, I think, what was it, Tangled or something?
Yeah. I mean a lot of people have made I mean I've also made stuff
Yeah, he called it
inspired
Tangle.
by yeah.
Have you seen that one?
I mean, no, yeah, I have. I mean,
Okay, yeah,
actually,
yeah.
we built this. This is sort of inspired by him. I mean, I wrote this, and this is like you can
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
edit the
I remember seeing that one a while back.
yeah.
But the portion of like, yes, decomposing it into different layers, I think uh,
Look
I
at
feel
this,
like there was
crazy.
one. Yeah, fascinating.
And I think Brett Victor's always had this like problem where people like the tools he makes and they want to buy them or whatever, but he's like, I'm not selling tools. I'm selling a
Selling
philosophy. Like
ideas.
I don't want,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like I want you to understand what I'm doing and then you do it. I don't want
yeah.
you to buy the thing I'm making.
The
Um,
irony with that is like, uh, I can't, I don't know what his motivation is, but my personal, like, that's the transition that I made is like, I was really into apps and I wanted to build an app for everything. And then last year I was like, fuck that. I just want to make features. I just want to put new features out there and have everybody use them if they're good or take them and run with them. And the irony is you actually have to commercialize harder when you want to do that. Like, you don't have to commercialize as hard if you're just building an app that has a new feature. You just have to get people to use your app. But if you
yep,
want
yep.
everybody to use your feature, you basically have to make it available to everybody,
I think about
like
this as like, how do you
usable.
imagine if you invented Control F as a parent as like a shortcut for like imagine if we lived in a world where like
Yeah.
things don't allow you to just search for a word by default. You have to like there's software you can like take a piece and put it, upload it, and then you can search it. And then
Yeah,
someone's like,
it's an
you should.
LLM. I literally do that. Like I'll paste in a YouTube transcript and I'll be like, "Hey, do they talk about this in the
Well,
transcript?"
but actually, well, hold on. But this is different. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
there's a flip here between like if you take the LM case, it's like instead of you having to like leave wherever you are to go to this the LLM to ask it that question, there's the idea that you should be able to just do that directly in the thing, and if that becomes a fundamental like interface, then you can still start to build on top of that. Um,
right.
do you see the point I'm making is like we have a gap here between how does something go from how do you how do you make a change to the fundamental paradigm of computing, for example,
You,
and get
you,
paid for that?
you know, it's funny. This tracks back to your earlier tweet this morning about information.
Yeah,
You tweeted something saying like, "Oh, information." Um,
this one
yeah, I think so. Wait, this morning.
that you see if something
Yeah,
important exists that would have
epistemic
reached you.
closures. Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing. Like, oh, here's a feature. Here's a way of doing things. The difference, I think, this actually illustrates the point that I made, where it's like, even knowing what the feature is, you still got to code it and integrate it into your app, right? And that's part of the barrier to entry is like, yeah.
Like I think there's a lot of pieces to it. Like
What's the reverse of stealing where you're f like forcing somebody to take something from you? Like stealing is taking without consent, and what would the opposite of that be? Giving without consent. What would we call that?
I mean, I almost think like the like
A
there's like this
desirable
pushing.
thing, by the way, not a
It's
bad thing.
event. Yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, well,
Evangelism.
pushing is never like yeah. It's. But I mean, I think there's some bottlenecks to why this doesn't happen more. And part of it is like power, but also credit. Like imagine what happens. Imagine the following. Imagine if I come up with like this really good feature. I mean, we've talked about this. Imagine you come up with a really good feature and it's brilliant. And how do you make money off it? Right now, you make a company and people pay you to use the tool. And then if other people adopt it, then, then now you've lost your competitive edge.
Yeah.
Um, that sucks. But
We
also you have to do all this work to make a company.
we talked about
It'd
this
be better,
recently
well, it'd be
too.
better if, yeah, it'd be better if like, and then this is how it works inside of a big company. If you just go and say like, oh, I think this would be a good feature, and then everyone across the company just does it, uses it because it's useful, and the company makes money, and then what do you get? Well, you're sort of rewarded
Yeah.
internally as part of your track record. Maybe you get some credit, um, but I think we're just missing that for we're missing this kind of container for across companies in industries, like just there needs to be a slightly bigger container.
I wonder if I should bring up. I think I messaged you like a week ago, and I was like, I shared this tweet with you. I think we should talk about this later, but I'll just mention it here. The idea that, well, I came up with the idea of 25-year companies, which
Yeah.
I think is simply put, it's just like imagine creating a company that literally had a time bomb in its charter. That's like, hey, this company is going to mature at 25, and then it will be dissolved, and its assets will be reinvested and kind of moved in specific ways. What would the effect of that, creating a company that you know is going to die, that is intended to die, and planning for the what do you call that, the inheritance of the company. So it's like if I was an employee working for that company, I would be sort of like a son, working for the father, and then eventually like, hey, my hard work is going to be rewarded because I'm going to be cut into the inheritance. Like literally the assets I'm creating that are right now on
Right.
loan for the
Right.
company, they become mine afterwards. Maybe some of the resources or other assets become mine. So it's like different models of ownership and inheritance, literally from a capitalist perspective. But the other thing that I thought about that really tripped me out was like, imagine having a fleet of companies that, uh, so I'm very cagey about how I talk about this because like it's very easy to create concepts in business that are ridiculously illegal, but it's also really easy to come up with concepts that are defensible and totally on the up and up and highlight holes in our sort of regulatory framework. And for me, it's like, it's specifically what you just pointed to. It's like, can we create a corporate environment of encouraged stealing so that if I'm creating a feature,
Yep.
you can have it, and if you're creating a feature, I can have it, and we just sort of, if we compete on what we disagree on, and everything else we're completely supporting each other and creating this
Yep.
collaborative frame. And as long as we are very careful about how we talk about what we're doing and how we sort of legislate it among ourselves and our policies and whatever, it's completely legal, right? We're not colluding. We're not anti-competitive. There's nothing to bust up because there is no monopoly.
Yep.
But we're sort of creating this gated thing where it's like, look, if you want to be in here, all you got to do is share, right? We're open to all,
Yep.
but the companies that are too large to fit through the eye of the needle, they're just not going to be able to come in because it's you've been hoarding your whole life. There's no way for you to enter this sharing framework.
I think what you're describing is kind of the like what the fundamental structure of how I want ORI to work.
Yeah,
Um,
probably. When you
and
think about it.
it needs, and what it needs, like what it wants to do is like things, rewards going to what works, and but also what works really propagates. And I think these two things are important because, like, I think in communities where what works really propagates have a problem of rewards, and communities that have a problem with that. Um, I mean, we could talk about this more, but I think looking at the failure modes is illuminating here. Like, because I think of it this way, like if you're at a big company, um, like they're actually I'm actually starting to see this with us in ORI. Like, there's a problem of like when something succeeds, everybody like you want to put your name on it. Like how do you sort of like because everyone contributed a little bit and maybe someone inspired it and then someone gave some important feedback and someone did so and so. Um, and you sort of you want to you want to reward everyone who contributed, um, but also the resources are limited. So what do you do? Um, and my current solution is like I believe there is a correct answer to how to allocate resources in the sense that what will grow more resources and you know transparency and decentralized decisions maximize the odds of us making the good decisions. So in this case, it should be, I don't know, like Sam's God conjecture thing is getting some attention and success, and a lot of people contribute to that. And I think all you really want to do is make it clear, open. This is why I wanted a lot of the internal work to sort of be public. Um, so you can see, okay, cool, like sometimes someone, just reviewed it once at the beginning, and then someone like did a lot of work throughout. Like you sort of want to see who did what because I could have done like one tiny thing at the very beginning, but that was like, a science communication thing. And then you and then in the future now you're looking for someone to do a science communication thing for you. So you'd look for me because you see the contribution I made on the thing. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's I guess it's hard to I'm trying to answer the question, the age-old question of how to allocate resources. Um, very briefly. But I think this is the right.
Still
Yeah,
have
this is how I'm thinking
the
about it.
I still have the entropy thing burned into my mind, and just thinking about like allocating resources in that frame of like you're in the fray of a bunch of particles moving around, and you're like, which ones are going to assemble into a sort of structure that I like, right? And you know, from the outside, you're just looking at a bunch of gray particles, and you're like, how
But
do I pick out the ones that are moving in the direction that I want to move in?
right, and it's because and you joining. I mean, you joining the decision you make here matters because
Yeah.
it does impact what will succeed or what will become whatever it is you want it to become.
I think the one thing that I would clarify is like the the resources aren't wasted either way. If even wasted resources are sort of recaptured, at least on this planet, like as latent heat, as you know, like little things will use them, so they don't go into the grand effort, but they do sort of get recaptured for next time.
Well, but and I think it's okay to sort of recognize that there's a local failure, even if it's not a global failure. Like,
What do you mean?
I don't know, like a cell has a job to do, but sometimes the cell failing to do its job is part of a larger system because it failing to do the job means it signals to the other system. Like it, wait, does local failure and global not failure, does that not capture it? Because I think that's what you're saying. You're saying don't see it as a failure because the resources get recaptured. And I'm like, okay, that's good for the global system that the resources are not wasted. But for my purpose, for my local purpose as a cell, as a team, I did fail because I have now I've lost resources, I guess. Now the resources go to someone else, which
Yeah.
again, if I've this is the correct outcome
Well,
if I'm not good with the resources. with these specific
Yeah, I
resources.
mean, there's a certain frame in which local failures or local successes are global successes, and local failures are global failures. And some local failures are global successes. Like we don't want the terrorists to win.
Yeah, so yeah, see, it's that's it. So
But
sometimes
the thing that I would say is a global success might be there's got to be something bigger than global, right? To sort of take into account the fact that there's a time component, right? It's like we have this graph. Let's see if I can figure this out. So we have like this is the globe, and this is me and my little team, and we're in here, and then yeah, this visualization is not going to work, but it's like the idea is maybe we've got an asteroid coming, or a comet or something, and it's going to hit, but we don't see that, so we're like we're not preparing for it. And then in the next frame, our global success is impacted, literally. So it's like maybe let me see if I can do this. It's like we have this. I guess I don't need the axes. That just confuses things. But we have this sort of what did you say? Epistemic closure. Like we have the sense of we don't know what's out here, and so we're optimizing for this current scenario,
mm,
right? This would be, let me try to label these unknown threat, right? So like we don't know that there's lead in our protein powder, right? Uh, the world, and so we're just like, hey, everybody needs to be drinking protein. Protein's good for you, right? Let's see, our little team, and then this threat hits, and it's like, oh my God, we were not prepared for this, right? How could we have known? We accidentally optimized for the wrong thing. Optimized thing. So that's that case. But in this case, let me see if I can draw these properly. So in this case, our team is working for something that fits our current dominant worldview model, right? And you could apply this to all kinds of things. But you could also say that um, our team is actually out here optimizing for the unknown threat, aka climate change or lead in the protein or AI risk or whatever you want to call it. Like I tend to think it doesn't have to necessarily be negative. It could be positive or benefit. Right, some kind of positive goal as well. Because I tend to dislike most of the negative goals that people get worked up about. And so if we were right, um, we have this scenario where our team is able to pull the world out of the way, and the benefit goes the we'll call it the threat, right? The threat goes right by, and people are like, "Oh my God, you saved us!" And now we're in the good graces of the world because we saved them,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Whereas if we're wrong, it's kind of the opposite. It's like, actually, our model of the world was wrong. The world's over here, and we're cast out, and they think we're stupid and we wasted a lot of time and money. Or, the benefit thing would be something like, um, you can just sort of visualize. I wish there was a better way to visualize these. Maybe if I could draw faster. The unknown benefit one would be like, oh, it's over here, and to the world's over here, and our team is trying to drag or push the world in that direction. You get the picture, I think.
Yeah, I actually think this is a good segue to what I was trying to articulate with this guy.
You're like, hey, come over
Are you still
here.
drawing?
Just trying to fine tune it so it's not so crazy, but it's pretty crazy.
Um, what we're talking about with the okay, wait, are you on my screen?
Uh, yeah, I can see it. Rational, inclusive, intuitive.
Intuitive.
Yeah.
Um, there is the I was just thinking about going outside of the world, exploring into the unknown space.
Right.
Um, is so it's looking at the thing with language and language is this fuzzy tool, and that's good because it allows you to rapidly explore a very evolving fuzzy reality,
Yeah.
and then you want to pin it down. I mean, I initially brought that up because I was saying I feel like we have a lot of very valuable things that we understand in sort of words, and we're ready to sort of like put either math or computational playgrounds to sort of pin it. And once you pin it, you can explore it. Other people can explore it. Um,
Yeah.
I just thought of this because like going out into the unknown, and then it's this big risk, and then you want to reward if it's sort of what you're able to bring back.
Yeah.
It's good. I think we're
We made it like an
in
hour and a half.
wrapping up mode.
Yeah. What,
Um,
what did we not touch on?
Most of it. Well,
Yeah.
let me say the frontier. And this is where the big we took a big branch here, but I think like the nature of time. I'll just say this, like I feel like a lot of the what defines our time is like big paradigm shifts, and I'm frustrated that like whose whose job is it to like propagate a paradigm shift? It's like if you're living in the time when Galileo or whatever figured out that, you know, heliocentric versus geocentric, like I don't we just don't have time to wait for another generation for the paradigm to like, you know what I mean? Like imagine if all the physics you learned in high school was just wrong. Like what now? Like now you have a bunch of adults and engineers and doctors
Yeah.
just go around with like the old paradigm. Like what they're not
We have
going back
so
to square one.
many examples of that across fields though. And it's not wrong, it's just not as good as it could be. And that's
I mean that, but
yeah.
that's the point. That's the point of ORI in general. Like this, like wave we have today of like people learning on the internet and independently, and blah blah blah. Like
Yeah.
you, um,
Mm.
so
So I think the interesting thing, like the thing that first comes to mind is people who will say, "Hey, you guys are reinventing the wheel. Look at prior art. You're not doing anything new with, XYZ thing, right?" Um, which, depending on the thing, may or may not have validity to it. And the goal or the destination is to um, to sort of know the difference between those two. It's like the people doing, traditional hard science in the sort of slow and methodical way, right? The sort of scientists and the people who are trying to rethink that fundamental science, the mystics, they don't have to be opposed to each other. It's like the mystic could go to the scientist and say, "Hey, what would you study if you didn't have to produce results?" Right? It's like if it were totally okay for you to be really, really wrong, and take your moonshots. And so there's a way in which the people in ORI or the people in that are just trying to look at the world askew can actually be in some ways like superheroes. It's like we're doing the thing that you guys can't do because your livelihood depends on you being a lot more rigorous and a lot more
Yep.
methodical, a lot more safe. And vice versa. It's like as a mystic or whatever, you can go to the scientist and say, "Hey,
Right.
I had this crazy idea. Tell me the 20 reasons why it won't work so I can knock them out one by one." Right?
I mean,
So it's like the
this
bounded it's again the bounded context, right?
right, and but this is why like this is the best. Like instead of them fighting, like you can just have these
Right.
people exploring the unknown, and like if it doesn't work, that's fine because it's not like it's not like you're spending the taxpayers'
Right.
money, whatever. But you're taking this big risk, so you should be rewarded if you find something useful. The problem is like right now again we have this thing where like people actually maybe we can end with this because I think it's a good deep idea. Like the idea is that sometimes the mystic does provide something valuable and useful, but they don't want to admit that. They want to use it, but they don't want to give credit. And the reason for that is Robin Hanson articulates this. Let's see, what does he do? It's recent. It's basically like just because you were right doesn't mean people will want to admit that you're right. Sure. Yeah, this one I'm going to put here. Let's see what he says. He's like, yeah, it's funny because it's very relevant to what Ori is trying to do, and also describes the problems that we have run into. Um, okay, here it is. Ori is about finding diamonds in the rough, finding value in the skizzles, um, people outside of academia, people outside of the system, etc. And or mystics, as we might call them. And even if you're successful doing this, it doesn't make people happy because when you do find them, and then the people are like, wait, no, not those people.
Yeah.
I don't want to reward those people. And but and the funny thing is like Robin Hanson says this as like he's sort of he's criticizing this. He's like, this is stupid. Like, look at these people. They're like just because they didn't have the polish and style they wanted. And but this is real. This is a problem. Like not wanting to reward people who like if you because the point is like wherever whatever you reward, you grow more of it, right? So if somebody's like I don't know if somebody's just not healthy like you're not it's if you don't want more of that you yourself don't want to be more like that you don't want more of that in the world so it makes sense that you might want to reject like accurate predictions or valuable knowledge from those people and instead try to come up with the same thing on your own
Right.
um
It's like what's your surface area for epistemological threat or destabilization?
yeah it's like if okay it's like if the extreme versions of this would be like if I don't know if you encountered a community of mystics or scientists or whatever who can make accurate predictions, but they like I don't know you have to sacrifice an arm or like you have to sort of do this thing that is bad,
My world model
and like
does feel like an arm sometimes.
well it's actually maybe the general concept like how much sacrifice is are you willing to endure, um And so you might look at that and be like, well, I don't want to take their knowledge from them. Maybe I can do without it. And I think that's actually a fine, this is a fi I don't blame them for this, but what it does make me realize then it's like, as Jordan Hall said 10 years ago, uh, it's a culture war, right? They don't actually want the knowledge. They want the knowledge as a means to an end in order to, grow and thrive and, live their lives and have more people like them. So when you show them, hey, there's people who can help you, but you have to accept them as your own and grow them, that's you're losing the culture war, you're losing the religious war, you're losing your identity. It requires you to change.
There it
So
is. Yeah, so for me, I can't see this as not about identity, right? It's
yes, it
just
is
like I
exactly
just
about that.
want to
Yep.
be the way I am because the way I am I
Yep.
like, and I
Yep.
just want to find tools and ideas and thoughts that make
Yep.
it
Yep.
easier for me to be the way I am versus I want to
Yep.
change, I want to explore new things. But as I
This is
change the way I am and let go of ideas, I find that I like it better. So, so
but you
I think
see
people are missing out quite a bit.
at the end of the day you have this it goes back to this
Yeah,
like I think I had something else where like those who I think I said something about like those who didn't change at all died, and those who changed too much died, right? Like if you accepted too much change, then there's no longer a cohesive view anymore. There's just a lot of other stuff. If you don't accept any change, then you fail to grow and thrive, so you also die. Um, so there's this middle piece. So it's really a fight for survival. Like you have like I mean I like that we're ending on this because this really is, I think, um, what it comes back to. Because and that's why actually ORI, like externally is like a research institute, but really it's actually it's a religious institute. It's like a church kind of thing, um, because what you have is culture war, which is also known as holy war, and it's about identities are fighting. And the question you're answering is like, how much change can you tolerate? Well, and like there's it's like there's two directions. There's some amount of change you need to do. Like I think you and I and most people in ORI and in these circles on the internet, rationalists, I think, to an extent, are more willing to change to sorry, I want to make this point clear that the purpose of all of these cultures is to self-preserve.
yeah,
Like when rationalists say like we seek truth, there's an asterisk on it, which is like as long as we
like it.
can continue to survive as is, like
Well, well,
there's
well, as long as we change in ways that we're happy to change in, right? As long as
I
the
think that's it.
change
Yes, yes,
fits a
yes,
pattern that we
yes. I mean,
culturally accept.
well, yeah, I think that's what I mean maybe by as is, because as is as long as we recognize
Yeah, it's a dynamic,
there's
like there
no
is change. It's just we mediate the change in our way.
yeah, as long as you continue, yeah, yeah.
Because it's
Which
like if you think of the Bible, right? It was like they constantly had prophets and things being like, "Oh, by the way, we updated this. We updated the terms and conditions of the covenant. Would you like to accept?"
So and yeah, and so this is important because you start to realize like I used to think like someone might think like, oh, you just have to like what Robin was cautioning against. You just have to f create value, and then people will accept you and welcome you in there. But no, because there's a top level, there's a or a bottom level foundational goal, which is this preservation of the thing. So I guess what I'm saying is like the practical implication of this is um you have to figure out what religion you're in, and then work to grow that. And that's kind of it. And so if you're and recognize when you're like trying to get like trying to be accepted by other religions and why they might reject you. Like, they require you to change to fit them. If you're trying to get them to change, they will resist that. If you're on the inside of it, you're already inside, firmly inside. Now you sort of have that leeway to change. You're a cell now, and you have a voice in that. And the or I
This
and
this is true in dating as well. It's like, can I change them?
the purpose I think of ORI, the Open Medics Institute, and a lot of this stuff is to sort of coordinate across like this like meta religion coordination. Um, and this actually relates to Sam's paper, the God conjecture later today. Um, can we change in ways that help that expand the possibility space for others? Um, like I think you cannot get around the fact you have to exist in a specific network, in a specific identity, and that you need that thing to grow and to accept you. Um, but you don't have to have enemies. Like you're gonna have enemies, but those that can cooperate with others, I think, will outcompete. So that can successfully cooperate without like, sorry, this is the last piece. Like you want cooperation without what's the word? The colonization. Does that make sense? Because the easiest way to cooperate is to make them like you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
why. That's why.
colonization is like rigidly encoding a hierarchical or some kind of structural relationship versus having two things
Well,
that are
well,
independently
maybe
co-evolving.
I guess colonization maybe it's not the right word. I meant like like making them like you, specifically what I meant.
Oh, I think it's the same thing, right? It's like what
Okay,
is
okay.
making them like you? Like, are you are you mixing into a unified culture? Are you imposing your culture? Are you assimilating into theirs? I think all three of those are making them like you, aka colonization, which colonization also works in terms of like culture, right? It's like, oh, this mold colonized this petri dish. And so it's just like becoming the dominant culture is that. But pluralism, like maintaining some degree of separation, which is essentially it's necessary. It's like cultures are at some
Right.
level incompatible. And
Right, right.
so
No,
it's
this is
so
important.
like
Yep.
mixing
Yep.
to the level of that compatibility, but maintaining a buffer zone so that you can independently evolve. And I like co-evolve because it's like, well, we're sending information back and forth. We're sending nutrients back and forth,
Right.
but we
But
do.
exact no, like if you were to make like it'd be bad if you make a community made out of like uh, let's say in this case, if you make a community out of these purple stars and the green
Yeah.
circles, squiggly lines,
Green
it
swirls.
doesn't work because
Uh,
they they can't
it's cute.
they can't work. But what they can do is they can find the ones like them and then create this bigger structure, nourish each other. Like the individual green and individual purple cannot nourish each other. They can nourish their own kind, and then the greater structure that they form can nourish the other greater structure. And that's great. That's the way to resolve this. Otherwise, yeah, yeah. So when we exist, and like this is hard. It's hard when two superstructures interact because there's like one can convert the other, so that means one is gaining power and the other is losing, and so they start to fight. Like even if they want to cooperate, they can hurt each other, you know, just by lack of inability to figure out a way to cooperate. Um,
Yeah.
but we exist sort of like what you know, it's almost like
I've
what you're
had
gonna
that
do here.
experience in relationships, by the way. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
you love the other person, so you want to what's best for them and vice versa. And yet by trying to get your own needs met, you're causing them pain and vice versa, right? It's just like, oh yeah,
I think is
we
a
actually can't
no,
coexist.
and this is a thing, you know, that I think we could talk about in this conference and also broadly in the project
Well, yeah,
here.
this translates
But
into love.
yeah, man, yeah.
Right.
Have you written an article on your definition of love? Because I think you should if you haven't.
Might do that next.
Um,
Yeah.
but
I don't
this is
think
kind
there's
of what
much to
I'm.
say. Like I've written a tweet on it. And I feel like that's enough.
But no, sometimes okay, no, listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes all you have to do, a Substack post can literally just be a tweet.
Yeah.
Like I know if you've seen the format I do
Expound.
now, which is
Your stuff is
yeah,
great, but
it's
by
not.
the way, I want to say the way that you write is like so uh easy to follow. Like your points are clear, but they're not. What is it? Your writing doesn't insist upon itself. And I think that's it really makes it easy and invitable and enjoyable to read. It's like you know, sometimes you read something by somebody like, say, this guy, for instance, and it's like, oh, this guy has a lot to say and he's really pressing against the walls of his expression. That is not the case, at least my experience of your
A lot
writing.
of
It's just like, so, like, hey, and by the way, here's a thing, and then here's
I
another
appreciate
thing.
I appreciate you noticing that, and I've been crafting this a lot, and I feel like I've landed on like I mean actually from my perspective, the this line break thing is a pretty big
Oh, the double
piece
breaks
of it.
too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't even realize that.
Well, it's a series of tweets actually. My essays now.
Shh. They never would have known.
Uh,
How will they know? They're gonna
no, it's
know.
actually funny. Sorry, I wanted to wrap up, but now I'm gonna have a little more to say here.
I 12
Um,
minutes.
which is to me reading a book. I've been ranting against books for a long time. People get really mad every time I do that, and I know why they feel that way, but they're wrong. Books are bad. Books um
Too bad.
are,
Books suck. I'm anti-book. What's your cause? Getting rid
and I
of
mean
books.
don't.
They've been a
Well,
disaster
no,
for
I
humankind.
actually I want to.
The
Brett
printing
Victor
press was a
made
mistake.
Brett Victor said kill math in 2011, and
Yeah,
I'm you know
yeah.
I mean I want to say
Oh, he
kill reading.
radicalized you? Is that what's going on?
Well, you don't have to take
If
my
I had a
word for it.
time machine, I'd
Andy,
go back and I'd kill Gutenberg.
kill him. Um, you know, Andy, I'm just defending. People are like, oh, he says crazy shit, but like a lot of other people I've already see this, and this is what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. So
No,
what I'm
it's a
doing.
legitimate thing.
Well, let me just tell you what the
Yeah.
writing format I have here is.
Yeah.
It's basically like a presentation. It's slides. Like this is slide one,
Yes.
and then this
So
is slide two.
so your writing is uh I would describe it as epistemic scaffolding. Like you're like, "Hey, I'm going to give you something stairs that you can climb to get to
Yes,
this
yes. It's very.
sort
This is
of
very important. It's
information
very.
environment." And that's
Yep.
great. And I think like you're honing an angle of this that is I really like and respect and I think the world needs more of. Now, does that replace books? No, because there's many other uses for books than just learning things.
That was, but actually, so hold on. I think I actually like that you said that
You
because
should say
the
textbooks.
but well, hold on. It depends.
Sure,
I
sure.
think where to go. This is the answer. Like Stella here, I
Yeah.
love this. She said there are many things that could be solved much more efficiently together that don't need to be or not supposed to be businesses. I think
Right,
it's the
right.
same thing with books. Like the problem is a lot of times. there's no other way for people to communicate. Like the book is such a catch-all.
I just had a horrible thought,
Yeah.
which is you, I don't want to say it, but I'll just say it. So when he says are not supposed to be businesses, my mind just went to people, and it's like there are certain people out there. It's like I'm glad they exist, and I would never want to be them. And then it immediately like this is. I hope this gets backlash because this is so bad. We need to have an abortion debate for businesses. You know, like does is there a right for a business to exist? You know, what happens when we have a business that we don't want? like because
Um,
there's
well,
taking that
I don't know. If
view like first of all it would do so much for abortion and the discussion there, but two, I think looking at businesses through that lens of like, you know, this business deserves to exist and what good is it doing in the world, and also what good would unwanted businesses do that, like, you know, people say, oh, if that were my baby, I would have, you know, it's like if that were my business, I would have shut it down. It's like, well, I'm so glad it's not your business because look at what good it's doing in the world. Did I save it? Am I canceled?
no, I buy it. I mean, I was gonna say I think it's just not as bad. Like not as many people are gonna cry over. There's less ethical. Killing a business is less ethical quandaries.
Right.
Um,
And the question is like at some level, yes, there absolutely should be less ethical quandaries there because a person is a person, a business is a business, and yet maybe we should look at it that way. It's like we don't look lightly at like having a child, but we do look lightly at like having a
yeah,
business. It's like
I,
does does
I see what you mean. Like,
does the
yeah,
life of a business begin at incorporation?
yeah,
Or does it happen at the first sale? Like
right, right.
these are
Um,
meaningful frame shifts, I think.
no, like I mean, it ties into your thing about like the also like the hospice for business. You know, the end
Yeah.
of life care,
Yeah,
winding
exactly.
down. No, I think it's good. We ended, I think, good with the
Cool.
books format for reading. I think you said epistemic scaffolding because it's basically like each one is supposed to take you from a beginning understanding to an end understanding,
Right.
and if it doesn't do anything for you, then I actually want to be more interactive than this. Um, I really want to one day, and we can pitch this as a project. I want to have essays that you have to tell me something before you can read the essay because I need to know, do you already know everything in the essay? Because if so, then you don't need to read it. Then you can actually validate it. You can test me, see if I got it right. Or if you don't know it, then I want to know did you learn anything from it? Um,
Yeah.
okay,
It's like you're
good.
trying to
This is
make
good.
an observation of the person's knowledge. You're collapsing
Right, right. Because yeah, because
the
otherwise,
knowledge
like I don't
function.
know. Otherwise, I feel like a lot of essays are like you're validating what someone already knows, which is nice, or like you're not connecting. They don't know it and they didn't learn it from you, and like what? And then there's a tiny percent where like they didn't know it and now they know it, and I want to find because that's the impact. That's like the goal. And I want to find those people and then maximize that because you don't often hear from those people as much. You hear much more from the people who already believe the thing.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, great.
Cool.
Good talk.
This was fun.
Um, yeah,
I feel like
this is a good
we
one.
totally did a very random walk this time around. Cool.
That's good. Good progress. All right.
All right.
See you.
I will see you next week. Let's see if we can get some ORI conversations like
Oh
scheduled
yeah,
and
I mean, we need
recorded.
that. Yes.
Even if it's like really loose and whatever, like let's set up that as well.
Yeah, I think we should do it. Sweet. All
Cool.
right. Bye.
Cheers.